morning, YouTube. My name is Daniel, and I like to discuss all things spiritual related: dreams, hypnosis, meditation, raising your vibration, and just chill stuff in general. The main topic of this video is going to be my Ganesh out-of-body experience. So, those not familiar with Ganesh, Ganesh is a Hindu god that is both human and elephant, with the body and torso and limbs being human and the head being elephant. You can do some more research on this if you want, or I can make a video on this in the future, going more in depth on who Ganesh is, or Ganesha. There's two different terms that I found on the web, but let me know in the comments if you'd like to see something specifically on Ganesh. But this video is mainly going to be addressing a lucid dream that I had back in 2012, and I had a few comments saying that my audio wasn't always that great, so I went ahead and picked up one of these. Well, actually, I had this already. My wife uses it to record her music, and I was able to figure out how to connect it to my Mac, and I bought a new webcam too, so hopefully this video is a little bit better quality than y'all are used to if you subscribe. And I'm going to go into the video now. I have a script this time. I'm not by any means reading from this thing. It's just so that I can better organize my thoughts. So lucid dreaming for me kind of started back at a young age. So I was around 5 years old, and sometimes during my dreams I would come to the realization in the dream that it maybe wasn't exactly what I thought it was. Meaning, when you're dreaming and you realize you're dreaming, that's kind of the definition of what lucid dreaming is. Some people have different theories on whether you exit your body or not, whether your physical body and your light or spirit body, which are to me the same thing, your light body, your spirit body, it's all kind of your higher dimensional selves. So there's a lot of debate on that, kind of whether a lucid dream is completely in your mind, whether it's generated in your mind, or if even in the spiritual community, whether that's happening or whether your light body is actually separating. So there's quite a few things you can tell for me between a lucid dream and an out-of-body experience. Sometimes lucid dreams can become out-of-body experiences, or just the realization shift, realizing that you're dreaming, and a lot of funky stuff can happen at that point. But when I was about 5 years old, like I said, I started having these kind of dreams. They were somewhat lucid. The original ones kind of revolved around my nightmares of Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street back in the day. I grew up with that pop culture phenomenon of the horror movies and stuff, and I began to have all these dreams about Freddy Krueger coming and like killing me in my dreams, and of course I'd never die. And eventually, when I was probably around 10, 11 years old, I had my last dream of Freddy Krueger, and he was chasing me around in the kitchen in my house that I lived in back in Ohio. And I very solidly and very completely realized that I was lucid dreaming, and I had had enough. I've had enough of this entity like bothering me and pulling me down and, inducing fear into all my dreams. Whether it was a figment of my own mind or an entity that was masquerading as one of my worst fears is kind of irrelevant to me. The fact is, I came out of that experience and I said, I know I'm dreaming right now, and I was able to tell that this monster that, hey, I'm dreaming, you have no power, And like at that moment, he vanished from the dream. And at that point, I kind of went down this weird vortex type thing. Like it kind of just appeared and kind of just pulled me through. And I believe that's one of my first real out-of-body experiences. I visited all sorts of different planets and in the universe and did a whole bunch of stuff that I can't really recall. But thinking back to it, it's just a very, very weird experience. So my life in high school, I was kind of antisocial, or an introvert, if you could say that. I guess I still tend to be kind of introverted in some ways, but I kind of don't like to use labels either, because I like to hang out with my friends. I like to be social, and not being social for an extended period of time actually does. It used to do some bad things to me. Like I would really get depressed and down about everything just by not having that social contact. So in high school, I was going to this youth group with a buddy of mine. My family's not really, like, my mom's very spiritual, but my family's not really religious. We never really, well, we didn't go to church when I was growing up. I wasn't considered like a Christian or a Christian family. Take a drink of my delicious lemon water real quick. But anyways, I had signed up to go to boot camp with a buddy of mine that I was in high school with, Jeff, and he decided at one point that he would leave before me, and then like my other friends were leaving, and I eventually opted to go into the Marine Corps. So I joined the Marine Corps back in 2004. I was originally a field radio operator, and later on down the line, I ended up being stationed on the East Coast here in the United States, and I ended up going to a unit at the time which was called FMTU, which stands for Foreign Military Training Unit. And all the folks that I was talking to, I was like, "What is this place? What's this unit?" Like before I went there, they're like, "We don't know. Like, I guess you train foreign militaries." I was like, "Okay." Like, it's not like I had a choice anyways. I was in the military and I had orders, so I was going. And so I'm kind of going off my script now. So it all goes back to 2012, and I could go into like Afghanistan and all my Africa deployments and whatnot, and kind of what I did in the Marines and the Special Operations Command on a later video, but only if it's really the spiritual stuff, because I ain't about that life anymore. So in 2012, I had this dream that it's a very lucid dream. I was driving this really cool sports car in California. It was probably a Lambo or something, and I'm going around these mountains real fast and everything, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to hang out on Earth. So I decide to leave the car, and I just literally start floating out of the car, like, because you can fly, you can do anything. You don't have the limits of the physical body when you're dreaming or lucid dreaming or whatever. So I float out of the car, and I'm floating up, and I'm kind of looking down at the city and everything. It's really cool, and I decided to keep going. I'm like, I'm gonna go out into space. Why not? Like, so this is when stuff kind of gets weird. So I start to fly out into space, and it's kind of like Google Earth, where if you're on there and you zoom out on an area like really quick, it kind of pans away from the planet, and the planet gets smaller. Well, that happened, and then it got really ridiculous. And I don't know if any of y'all have seen the movie Doctor Strange, which that movie is near and dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies because I relate to him on a whole lot of different levels. I really resonate with that movie. So there's a point in the movie where Doctor Strange, he doesn't realize what the astral is. He's never had an out-of-body experience. He's a very third-dimensional based human that just so happens to be a really, really amazing surgeon. But he had just broke his hand, so he can't do surgery anymore, and he's kind of searching for answers in a place kind of looks like India. I'm assuming it's in India. So this Grand Master in this movie touches his forehead, or kind of the center point in between the two eyes, where the third eye is in our spiritual bodies, and everything just kind of goes crazy. Like he explodes out into the universe. He's like flying past planets, all these different things, and this is what was happening to me. Of course, it was my own experience. It wasn't verbatim like the movie, but all these planets started flying past me and stars, and like I'm just like blown away by all the stuff I'm seeing, like nebulas, black holes, white holes, which I didn't know existed until recently. I started reading about some of that stuff to make shit to like kind of confirm some of my thoughts on the dreams that I've had. Like, what are these things that I'm experiencing, and do they exist in the physical world? Like, whether they do or not kind of isn't going to take away the belief in what I saw, but at least maybe it'll reinforce some things and kind of get me thinking a little bit more about the intricate universe. So at some point as I'm flying through space, I decide I need to stop. Like, I'm going too far, because like I don't even have a scope to describe how far I traveled in this dream. So I see this planet as I'm kind of slowing down, and it's blue and green. I'd say more green than what Earth would have, but I start to descend to this planet. I decide, like, I'm going to go to this planet. So I start to descend from space, and I end up landing on this planet, and I'm greeted by a being, and this is where Ganesh comes in. So I'm greeted by this being with the body of a human and the head of an elephant. And immediately, the energy coming from this being was just intense. Like, it's something stronger, more powerful than I've kind of ever felt before at this point in time. Like, it's insanely powerful. But I didn't really feel any kind of aggression or negativity in this being. I could tell that it was very loving, and it wasn't really a kind of making judgments of me or anything. But just the immediate feeling of how intense this being was, I could just tell that like it was just like an endless data source. Like, it contains so many pieces of knowledge and memories, and it was incredible. It was overwhelming for me, even in my astral form. So immediately my reaction was to flee, like to get away from this being, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what its intentions were. Like I said, I didn't really feel anything negative, but still, it kind of felt weird at the time. I mean, if you can imagine seeing this thing. So I start to go away, and then I turn back, and it has transformed into this older woman, kind of like a grandmother type figure. And I'm like, okay, I guess it changed so that it was less imposing to me, that I could possibly interact with it and things like that. So this old woman, she starts talking to me, and she's like, yeah, we haven't seen you in a long time. Where have you been? And we've all missed you so much. And I'm like, I've been living other lives. Like, I just remember responding that way. I was like, I've been out, I've been doing other things pretty much. I'm sorry. And this being initially had some sort of spherical thing behind them, like a really big spherical object that was kind of glowing, and along with the change in this being, this glowing sphere thing, which was about 8 or 10 feet tall, ended up changing into something that resembled a car that was on planet Earth. So I get into this car with her, and we're driving around on this planet, and it's kind of broke down, like the planet itself. It's kind of like dry and just, I don't know, it almost reminded me of like a scene from a Western or something, just kind of desolate. I mean, sparse vegetation and whatnot. But we end up coming upon this town, and this Ganesh being is talking to me the whole way, and I can't say I remember the conversation completely or what was said and how I responded, but it was just kind of like, okay, we're going to this place and I'm just being shown all this stuff, so I just kind of went with it. I was kind of caught up in the moment. So this town we're walking through, it's kind of like wooden shacks and stuff, like not really very high quality assembled buildings. From what I could tell, like people probably lived here before or something. And we eventually, as we get out of the vehicle, we're walking through this town. I don't know, it felt like, if I were to put a time to it, it felt like we were walking 10 or 15 minutes after we got out of the vehicle. Walking through town, and we come along this bar on the left side. And when I say bar, it was, I don't know, it closely resembled something maybe out of Lord of the Rings or something, like a pub that you go into, and just very medieval-ish. So the bartender ended up being an alien as well, which was kind of interesting to me, that I didn't have the reaction that I had with Ganesh. Because the alien that I met had like a bluish gray face and kind of marks on its face, like black marks here along these lines. And myself, Ganesh, and this alien kind of had this conversation about like what I've been doing and whatnot, and I was just kind of updating them on everything. And then they poured me a drink, and I was drinking this stuff, and it was like this green liquid of some kind, but I could tell that it kind of tasted good, so I enjoyed it. But we talked a little bit more, and then Ganesh said something to me like, it's time to go or something, and immediately like I started flying back through space, but like way faster than I had came there, and I kind of snapped back in my body, and it was really violent and really funky feeling. And I woke up in my physical body as well. Like it was immediate. I was just like snapped awake. I was like, oh my God. So I got out my journal and wrote all this down. And I gotta find it. I have it around here somewhere, because I kind of started a journal and then I quit writing in it. But I had written this down in 2012, and it was crazy. So with this, the Ganesh being really ties into my last QHHT experience, and QHHT is a type of hypnosis, and I learned about it initially through Aaron Doughty's videos. He's a pretty famous YouTube personality in the spiritual world, and he kind of covers a lot of the topics along the lines of what I'm talking about as well. So I looked up this QHHT he continued to talk about, and I ended up running along some books by the creator of the method, which is Dolores Cannon. And she was a hypnotist, and she came up with this new method of hypnotism that led to people having past life regressions. Not only past lives as a human, but past lives as an ET as well. So it wasn't just one or two people. It was like thousands. So she was having like thousands of clients that were regressing to their past lives as extraterrestrials. So, and she's just reporting all this. She's a very, well, at least in her early days, she's a very by the book type of person that was just kind of reporting the results, and she kind of continued that theme throughout her career. And she passed away a couple years ago, but she's the one that came up with this technique. And during my QHHT session, which I did in my room here, my second life that I reviewed was that of an alien on another planet, of course. I was and you can watch my other videos kind of relating to my QHHT experience and my life there. I could go into a little bit more detail, but I was a grayish blue skinned alien wearing kind of like a white long sleeve undershirt of some kind, like a white grayish vest, a belt, and like these big poofy snow pants looking things, and then just some boots. And I was a slave miner on this planet. I was a slave to another alien race, apparently, according to my QHHT and everything I remember. And what's weird about this, what's even weirder about this, let's just say what's even weirder, is this planet that I was living on as an alien was the same planet that I had found Ganesh on. So, the stuff from 2012, it was about a month ago, I had this session. I was finally able to connect the dots on all this, because the planet that I originally visited in 2012, where I met Ganesh, was the same planet I had lived a past life as an extraterrestrial. So, kind of the full circle thing, like everything kind of connected for me. I'm like, oh my god, like I lived on this planet, and I've already seen this planet like in a dream before. So it was pretty interesting, to say the least. And I've always kind of felt a connection to extraterrestrials, and it came up in the session that I was also from, like, as a starseed. And starseeds, you can look more up on that, or let me know and I'll do a video specifically on starseeds. But a starseed is a prior alien or a current alien that lives at a higher vibration or a higher dimensional frequency, decides to incarnate on Earth and affect positive change on the planet and raise the vibration of the planet, because we're going through a spiritual ascension right now on the planet Gaia. Yes, Gaia is a soul. Gaia is an entity as well in herself. So we're doing this spiritual ascension, and there was a call put out in 1940s when the atomic bombs were dropped to pretty much all the people of the universe, that Earth is in trouble and it's going to destroy itself, and the universe as a whole, this was not the plan that Earth go down this route. So they asked for volunteers to come to the planet, and those volunteers, you can call them starseeds, you can call them whatever you want, really. There's a few terms out there, but starseed seems to be the most used term out there. So I am a starseed from the Andromeda galaxy, and I was able to see some of the stuff during my session too, on like what I do. I feel like I definitely exist somewhere right now in a higher dimension. I don't think I came here in a sense that I came here as like a soul from another human life or something. Like, I feel that, and there's a lot of really deep stuff that goes into this, but I feel like when I sleep, I'm waking up into my life as an Andromedan. So take it or leave it. If you guys want to know more on the QHHT stuff, I have a few other videos on that. I'm gonna work on re-recording them with the microphone that I ended up using finally. I'm hoping this audio quality is a little bit better. But I would like to know from you guys, what experiences have you had in the astral? What lucid dreams have you had? What other videos would you like me to do? What things, what topics are y'all interested in? Because I'm all ears here. Like, if y'all are interested in something, I'm here for the sole purpose of following my passion, which is making these videos, and I'm hoping that some of these videos will put some positivity into your lives, because that's kind of another one of my goals, is to raise your vibration so that you can ascend to higher states of consciousness. You can be a happier, more successful person, and that is truly what I wish for everyone on this planet. So, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you've been here for a while, please like my video and drop me a comment. But I appreciate it, and I hope everyone has an amazing day.